Hi everyone, a little bit of a longer video today. I want to get a chance to get the word out about what's going on with long COVID and basically all of the post-viral syndromes, including Lyme disease, which isn't really a virus, but the reaction that it has to, that your body has. And of course, Sasha says hello. The reason why you're having issues with dysautonomia, which let me just define a couple terms first. Dysautonomia is what happens when your autonomic nervous system goes haywire. For instance, you have POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia. You stand up too quick, and boom, all the engine lights go on. And you can't figure out, you feel dizzy, sometimes people pass out, and it's very alarming, and a lot of times people don't understand why it's happening, and a lot of times doctors don't give you an answer as to why that's happening. That's one of the things that can happen. The other thing that can happen is your heart rate can go out of whack, which is part of the POTS, but it can happen separate from that. What'll happen is you'll feel crummy, you'll get sick, and you just lay there and your heart rate slows down and you feel like you can't even breathe right. You can't take a full breath. And this happened. A lot of people were made aware of this being a problem after COVID, because COVID did this to a lot of people long term, and that's one of the features of long COVID. Also, there are muscle and joint aches, fibromyalgia, just general muscle tenderness that seems to have no reason as to why. You feel like you did heavy exercise or you hurt yourself and you wake up and you feel like a truck hit you, and there's no reason why. Some people are getting some help in different areas with regard to this, but there are many different things that you need to do to get yourself back to a normal state. People who tend to have these issues are in a group, a cluster that I refer to as a cluster. There is a wonderful researcher named Dr. Sharon Meglathary who came up with this RCCX theory, which basically posits that when you have different genetic tendencies like ADHD, autism spectrum, bipolar disorder, a lot of the mood disorders, along with gut issues like IBS and Crohn's disease and celiac disease. There's also other ones that follow along. They're all together on the same genetic sequence. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobility. I know there's different forms of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, but hypermobility seems to be one that is popping up more frequently now. These are all genetic tendencies that run together. So you may have Ehlers-Danlos and then somebody in your family is diagnosed with autism. You could have both, or gut issues. Again, they all kind of tend to run together, and it's because the genes are kind of sequenced together at the same place. So what does that mean? People who have these sorts of things have a genetic tendency to not properly process their nutrients. For instance, B vitamins are huge here. B vitamins are also known as essential vitamins, which means that your body cannot make them. You need to obtain them. Sometimes your gut bacteria can produce them. But if your gut bacteria is disrupted because of inflammation from Crohn's or celiac disease or any of these things, you're not properly processing the nutrients. Your gut bacteria cannot properly make the nutrients. And once the nutrients get in your body, your genetic tendency is an issue because you cannot properly methylate. Methylation, I don't want to get too in the weeds with this stuff because I'm a scientist. I'm not a doctor. But I do study all of this stuff. I'm really interested in it. I got into it because of my own experiences. I started studying it when I got my degree in biology, and I got really interested in genetics. And I started really getting interested in this stuff once I realized that I was suffering from these things, because I needed to figure out what on earth was wrong with me. You ever get a cold, just a cold, and you feel depressed, and you can't get up, and your heart rate slows down, and your body hurts. I could never figure that out. Like, why am I so miserable? I would get depressed and I'd cry when I had a cold. It didn't make sense to me. Now it does. So, again, you have the genetic tendency. Now, does that mean you're doomed to suffer from this? No, not for the rest of your life. It could be made better, if not totally put into remission. And remission is the word I need to use, because once you have the genetic tendency towards it, your genes are influenced by your environment. So a lot of people who have suffered from living in a moldy place, that will whack you into a response. You can have a flare-up from that. Anytime you get a virus, some people, when they get a vaccine, they'll have, oh my God, all of a sudden, their hands and their feet and everything go numb. And, there's nerve damage there. And it's from the same underlying cause, which is the genetic tendency towards not properly processing your B vitamins. And when your body is under any kind of stress at all from any of these insults, even emotional trauma, if you've suffered PTSD, or you were abused as a child, or you're continually in an abusive situation, your B vitamins are going to be just gone. And what happens is that it takes a toll on your body, because you need your B vitamins. Specifically, B12, everybody hears about B12 now. That's pretty hot. B6 is another one. That's one that helps you process serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. But one that has not gotten enough attention that is up and coming is thiamine. And I've had a couple videos about it. This is why I wanted to go a little deeper into it. This is a basic overview of what could possibly be going wrong and why. Because so many of you need to understand why. We don't get it. It's like, why? Why is this doing this? Doctors do not understand why. There are a couple of them, bless them, that have figured this out, that are willing to listen to it. But because it is a nutritional situation, and it sounds like, oh gee, that's just way too simple. Why is it just nutrition? It's got to be some complex thing. And it is in how it all works out with the genes and the mutations that you could have and the underlying situation that you're in. Yes, but the solution is somewhat simple. And that is that we are suffering from nutritional deficiencies, all kinds of them. We hear about vitamin D. A lot of people, like, some crazy number I just saw yesterday, 70% of children between the ages of 6 and 11, 70% have a vitamin D deficiency. That is, vitamin D, I could get into that too. That's a whole nother thing. Again, this is an introduction to a whole bunch of topics. And if you really want to hear more about them, I would please put it in the comments below. What would you like to hear more about? I will gladly tell you. I can also help you with these things. I've helped a lot of people, including myself, get through a lot of these things. I have a lot of these things. I'm currently self-diagnosed on the autism spectrum. I'm in the midst of being evaluated for that, and once I get my result, I will let you know. I've taken a lot of online tests that put me pretty squarely in the middle of it. When I look at all of the history of my life and everything, symptoms that I've had in the past, like toe walking, there's a lot of these things, a lot of the emotional issues I've had. It all ties in, and it all works together. And there's something actually somewhat comforting about that to me, as someone who loves looking at patterns, because if I can crack the code of how this works, I could come up with the solution. And I feel like I have. And I've seen it play out. I've seen the results of it. I've seen other people that are doing these wonderful things with people that are nutritionally based. And they have problems they've had for years, chronic illnesses that, they've never received any real help with. They're alleviated. They feel better. They have relief. And I want to be able to provide that information to you. It's extremely valuable, and I really feel this stuff is life-changing. And that's why I've dedicated myself to doing these things. And so I do have a link in bio if you just want a real quick hit for 30 minutes. I can do that, $33, and we can go over that. Obviously, if it's more involved, we could get deeper into that too. I have a couple different things that I can do for you with that, and I get very comprehensive. We look at absolutely everything, and what we do is we look at all of the drugs that you're on, we look at any of the vitamins that you're taking, we do a real deep analysis of tests that you've had, and then I give you the information that you can take to your doctor so that you can be a partner with your physician and show them, hey, is it possible that maybe these are the things that are going on with me? And wow, I learned that these nutrients are good for this. What do you think? Most of the time, doctors are pretty good about vitamins and nutrients. Sometimes, at the very least, they'll say, oh, that doesn't do anything. They don't normally say, don't take that. A lot of the things that I educate you about are not, they do no harm. And that Hippocrates, the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm. I live by that. Again, not a doctor, a scientist, okay? So, I want to be able to help you with these things. So please check it out, my link in bio, and let me know, and we can start you on a couple of different paths and get you some education around how to make yourself feel better. Thanks for listening if you've listened all the way till now. Bye.